Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well after Thanksgiving. I know it's a switch up. I know that you have this full day of a holiday, and for me, I don't get today off. I'm actually in the office right now recording, which is a little bit different. But I wanted to talk about this idea that David Meltzer spoke about in episode 175 of the podcast. And I thought it was really important because, that episode is about happiness. It's about working towards your goals and your dreams. And I thought what he said was so powerful. So for this episode, I want to talk a little bit about what he calls the zeroing effect and why having routines and consistency is so important. So I often use these examples with exercise because it's the one I know really well given my athletic background. But if you exercise consistently, for a period of time, let's say you start exercising for a week, maybe let's say you start off with like 5 days. And then on Saturday and Sunday, you veg out and you eat like crap. And maybe Monday you start to feel sluggish again. And then you only start getting back into the gym effectively on Tuesday. If you're doing something consistently for a period of time and then you just suddenly stop, and then not only do you stop, but then you kind of go on the other end and you're not taking care of your body. In the episode, David calls this the zeroing effect, where basically all that hard work that you put in, all that time and effort that you put into something kind of gets zeroed out because of the negative side of what you're doing on the other end of that. So that's the zeroing effect. Essentially, it's you're putting in some work, and then at the other end of it, you kind of negate that effect. So how do we sort of stop that from happening? Well, it comes from being consistent over time as opposed to necessarily working really hard all at once. So in the episode, David says it's better to have 2 minutes of consistency a day versus having 4 hours on a Saturday. And what he really means by that is we're trying to create lifestyle or habit changes for a certain behavior as opposed to just saying, let's do this all or nothing thing and crush it. Because what's going to happen is because our body, our minds, our systems aren't used to it yet, we don't have that routine down to do something consistent. So it's better to create the mindset of, I'm going to go into the gym in his case, he said 2 minutes, but let's say 10 to 15 minutes a day, as opposed to crushing it for an hour or 2 hours once a week, right? So that's a really important concept. Now, the other thing he talks about is having a couple of routines, having that daily routine with your normal sort of operations. Like, let's say you work on a regular basis, Monday through Friday. You're going to have a pretty similar schedule. You want to keep that consistency so it's just like clockwork for your system to get something done. But you also have to have the alternate routine when you're on vacation. You have to plan ahead and think about how you're going to be maintaining that consistent behavior even when you switch into a new routine. And the reason why that's important is because, again, of the zeroing effect. If you don't have that plan of how you're going to stay consistent with whatever you're trying to do, then you're going to have that zeroing effect and you're not going to stay on task. And then when you try to come back to the behavior, you're going to get ruined. So you have to figure out a way to have not just a routine, but also the alternate routines so you don't lose out on that zeroing effect and you lose that consistency that's ultimately going to let you do the behavior that's going to let you get to the next level. So for me, right now, I'm actually using an alternate routine because today I had to come into work earlier and I needed to figure out how to podcast while I was here. So I just ended up bringing my laptop, and I don't have my fancy microphone here right now, but I'm still able to record. And I needed that alternate routine because today was a little bit off. So I planned ahead, decided to bring my laptop and record in my office. And I was actually pretty lucky because I had a little bit of an open space. So I wanted to really reflect. In summary, if you have a behavior you want to change, and the reason you're changing that behavior is because you want to be more successful, more happy, increase your energy, If you want to change the behavior, it's better to be consistent over time. And so you avoid the zeroing effect and create maybe 10 minutes per day, 15 minutes per day, and increase over time as opposed to going all out in one day, because of the habit forming effect and the ongoing consistency that allows you to improve your skill over time, as opposed to all out one day and then having the zeroing effect, where you lose out on that growth over time. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. Reach out to us on our social media channels. It's at Happy Doc Podcast. And I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great one, guys.